Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we are going to be talking about Super Mario Galaxy. This is the newest installation in the Super Mario Bros. Film universe and the sequel to the very, very successful original movie that I enjoyed very well. Now, I have not talked about that on this channel. I saw it well before I even had the thought of creating a YouTube channel talking about movies. So soon enough, that probably will be a review. But for right now, we're talking about the most recent thing, which is Super Mario Galaxy. Now, I've been seeing a lot of things online. Everybody's talking all this crap about how it's terrible, how it's nowhere near as good as the first. And I really used to let stuff like that get to me when people would say, oh, this movie is great, or oh, this movie is bad. I would take their words at face value until I saw Eddington, and that completely ruined everything that the cultural public had to tell me about movies. People still, to this day, think that Eddington is a good movie. It is absolutely terrible. I implore you, if you think I'm wrong, to watch it again. It is trash. But this is not an Eddington video, of course. This is about Super Mario Galaxy. Now, did I think it was as good as the first one? No. Did I think it was really, really good? It was okay. It wasn't bad by any means. I definitely enjoyed it. Me and my girlfriend had a great time watching it, but I will say, coming from the banger of the first one, I think that it's kind of an impossible task because you don't have the easiness of setting up the story. You know, Mario and Luigi's introduction in the first Super Mario Bros. Movie was a really, really cool introduction because it's like we're finally seeing them in this role on screen, and so you're hyped about it. I felt like their introduction in this one was a little bit cheesy. They're just riding dirt bikes in the middle of the desert to go and save some people that have a pipe that is clogged because, of course, they are plumbers. And who do they find? None other than my favorite character in this entire movie, Yoshi. Yoshi was such a fire addition to this film. I love the fact that they had him in so many of the scenes, being such a, disrupting force that comes and saves the day. I did think that was very, very fun. And this is the part where I have to lock in on Cuphead. We are playing Cuphead for all of our audio listeners because I thought it was something that looked the closest to Super Mario Bros. That I had in my library that is not Super Mario Bros. And this right here is the hardest part on the entire level. Now, I thought that Yoshi was really, really good. I also thought that the addition of Bowser Jr. playing a major role in this was very good, but I was a little bit upset at the fact that it just seemed like Jack Black didn't really get, obviously, the same show that he got the first time, because first time he was the main villain, and in this movie, he's being saved by Bowser Jr., because in the first movie, of course, he was captured, and so he is a mini Bowser living in basically a Barbie princess castle in Mario and Luigi's house, I believe. And so Bowser Jr. is trying to save his dad. Bowser's going through this whole thing where he's lying and saying that he's good and reformed, but for some reason he actually is, and it's not just a Bowser ploy to like try to get away and take over the universe, which I thought was a little annoying. Like, I don't want to see wholesome Bowser. I want Bowser to be like #1 op. That's the whole point. So that was a little bit annoying, I think. But overall, the storyline was pretty good. Rosalinda, who, by the way, I guess I'm a fake Mario fan. I don't even know if I would call myself a fan. I've just grown up, now, and so I've been around all this stuff for a long-ass time. So I just indirectly know a lot of the things. But I had never heard of Rosalina, which my girlfriend thought was absolutely ridiculous. She thought that, everybody had heard of her and that this was an obvious... Oh no, I thought I just killed myself there. And that this was like an obvious character, but to me, it was more so like, oh, okay, there's a new princess, shout out to her. Well, she gets taken at the very beginning, and that is the entire plot of our movie, is Mario, Luigi, and Peach going to save Rosalina, with the big reveal, of course, spoilers, being that Rosalina is Peach's sister. Now, I don't know if this is lore, if this is canon. I had no idea, so I think that made it a little bit better. If this is something that people are supposed to know, I didn't know it, and I just died. I didn't know it, so I thought that was better for the viewing experience of when we got that reveal that, yes, she is indeed her sister. But the reason why I want to talk about the plot, I do this thing where I get, too caught up in explaining what happened in the movie instead of how I felt and my favorite things and standout things about the movie. But specifically for this plot, I was just constantly thinking of this recent Ben Affleck clip that I saw of him doing a podcast with Joe Rogan and Matt Damon, and where he said that Netflix really wanted all of the people that they're using to shoot movies. I'm terrible at this level. To start reinforcing the plot like at least 3 to 5 times so that audiences who are on their phone with short attention spans, children that are going to be watching the Mario movie, obviously are probably the main demographic for this. Their attention spans are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. So they kept reinforcing the plot over and over and over again. We got to do this to save Rosalina. The little stars that Rosalina is like their mom or whatever. Like, can you see my mom? She was taken by this person and we need to go and save her from this realm. It's like just constant beating you over the head with the plot. I thought that was very, very annoying. I also think that this is just one of those things where movies that have a sequel are always going to be compared. It's hard for me to compare, Wolf of Wall Street to No Country for Old Men, even though they're both two of my favorite movies, because they're just completely different films. You would never say that, oh, Mario #1 and Mario #2 are my favorite movies, because the second one is just really a shell of the other one in a lot of the fun aspects. Now, one of my favorite things alongside Yoshi was obviously this movie looks beautiful. I mean, the animators, they're playing with Mario. This is not going to be something that they take lightly. Like, this was a very fun film to go and watch in the theater. I enjoyed myself the entire time. There were only a few times towards the end where I was getting a little sleepy. I was just thinking, man, this is getting a little bit boring. The fight scenes were lasting a little bit too long, I will say. I felt that they were sort of relying on fight scenes more than I would have liked for dialogue. Again, this is probably something to help with the child audience and not for my 26-year-old brain. But if we're going to be talking about this movie like a movie, that's what we're going to be talking about. So overall, yes, I did enjoy the experience of it, but I can see why people are saying that it's worse than the first one. Now, there are tons of people online saying that this is just a terrible movie, that it's, listen, if you're going into this trying to watch a phenomenal movie, this isn't There Will Be Blood, okay? This isn't going to be Schindler's List. All right, this is just a freaking fun kids movie. So go in there and try to have a little bit of fun. If you're an adult, maybe have some adult beverages and watch Super Mario Galaxy on a nice TV or a projector, or maybe even at the theater. I think that it's a fun viewing experience and that it's very enjoyable and light. I just think that people are taking it a little bit too seriously because the first one really was, I think, a much, much more cohesive kids film, I guess you would say. You think back when you think to kids films, obviously most of us that are grown are not going to say that a kids film is one of their favorite movies. But I mean, think back to things like Mulan, think back to things like The Lion King. You saw those movies when you were a child, and then you grew up, and then you watched them later and realized, oh my God, this is a great movie. This is one of those movies that if you were a kid, you'd watch it, be like, wow, this is great. And then maybe when you return to it, you go, okay, yeah, the first one is actually a movie. The second one is more so just like a fun viewing experience. But nonetheless, I think that everybody is just too angry. There's this notion that no good movies are being made. Nobody cares about movies anymore. No one goes to the theaters. The only movies that are going to be successful are films like this that garner a huge child audience. I will say that about half our theater looked like they were just grown people that wanted to see a Mario movie, okay? Mario is something that is timeless, that many generations have grown up with, that they know of. And even if you're just like me and you've barely even played any of the Mario things besides maybe on a DS a couple of times, you still know all of the sounds, all of the characters, all of the reveals. At one point, Mario steps on Bowser because he's eaten a small mushroom to make him small, and he steps on him to make him big. And it was like a light bulb in my head. Oh yeah, when you eat the small blue mushroom, you turn small until you take damage, and then you become big again. I completely forgot about all those things. So very wholesome, fun, enjoyable experience. Not something that you need to go in here, jumping out and saying this is the best movie. Now am I going to rate this movie high? No, I'd probably say it's about 6, 7. That one was for the children. I'd say it's like, you know, maybe a 6.8, 6.9. That one's for the bro, 6.9. I'm going to stay at 6.9. I think that it was fun. I think that if I went back and watched the original Super Mario Bros. Movie, that I would probably rate that closer to like an 7.9, I'd say. I'd probably like that a whole point up. But in terms of going out to the movie, buying movie tickets, which of course we have Riedel Unlimited, but still, going out to the movie, spending money on movie tickets, popcorn, all of these things, I thought that it was a good and a fun experience. So shout out to all the people that were involved in it. I just want to say that Charlie Day, I believe his name is, as Luigi, it's just kind of annoying, too, when there's not another guy that sounds like him, and you're talking to Chris Pratt. I mean, I get it. Mario's supposed to be the one that's, like, a little bit more normal. Luigi's the one that's a little bit more goofy. But Charlie Day's voice and then Mario's voice, of Chris Pratt's voice being so different was something that was getting a little bit on my nerves. And I don't know if I noticed that in the first one. I couldn't tell you because it's been so long. But that was just another thing that I just thought about here at the end. So anyways, regardless, ladies and gentlemen, if you like these videos, please subscribe, please like, and please comment on the channel. I've been forgetting to say this in the 2 videos that I've made recently that have been the most popular. I have not told anyone, comment on this channel, what do you want me to watch? I have asked this in so many videos. Not a single person has left one comment letting me know what they want me to watch next. So if you would like to leave a comment to let me know what movie to watch next, please do, and you will be the very first one to get a review directly from the horse's mouth himself, okay? And so yeah, so go ahead, leave a comment. If you want me to watch something, if you hate it, if you love it, you just want to hear my take on it, just let me know. And yeah, that's basically about it. I know this video is all over the place. To be honest with you, it's a little bit difficult because I just saw this movie in the theaters last night, and I felt like I've retained so little of it, and it's impossible for me to go back and see it again without sitting in a theater full of people because this is sold out for like the 8th weekend in a row. So I will not be going back to seeing it again. So this is the review that you get. That's about it. I don't know how to edit, so we're gonna have to go ahead and pause this and end the video. All right, see you guys soon. Bye now.